What's going on, guys? Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. So today I want to give you my initial reaction to House of the Dragon episode 1, right? So basically, why am I doing this? Have I become a movie review channel? The answer is no. So I'm an owner of Warner Brothers Discovery stock, and I expect this episode slash series to be a very big hit for Warner Brothers Discovery, right? So that's why I'm reviewing it and I'm watching the content to see if the content is up to par, if it's overhyped and people will be disappointed, therefore less subscribers and stuff like that. Right? So right off the bat, I just want to take a look at the search interest on YouTube. I actually just searched this, and basically you can see that episode 1 explained 56,000, episode 1 breakdown 73,000, and then 550,000. 139,000. So actually that's funny because like the official channel only has 430,000 and this video has 550,000, right? So 141,000, 409,000, 30,000. So I think you guys get the point, right? Because there is a lot of people covering this, so this is generally a good thing, right? Because if a lot of people are talking about it, it's because they think that they can get views out of it, and if they can get more views out of it, it's more exposure to House of the Dragons, right? So I'm just going to go through the first episode. This is basically their YouTube version. So inside the episode, if you haven't watched the official, like the first episode, do not watch this video, right? Because there's a lot of spoilers in this video. So yeah, with that being said, let's start. So just want to mention that this is also played at 1.5 times speed because I don't want the video to be too long, right? If it was like just a 1 time speed, I think the video would be about like 25 minutes or something like that.
Jaehaerys called the Great Council to prevent a war being fought over his succession, for he knew the cold truth. The only thing that could tear down the House of the Dragon was itself.
I love prologues. I thought to ground people in the New World, we needed some kind of epic opening that would give people...
Okay, so just want to start off with the set, right? So I do think it's a pretty nice set. So doesn't look exactly the same as the Game of Thrones set, which I'm quite glad it doesn't, right? Because some of the things look exactly the same as Game of Thrones, and that doesn't make sense because this series is supposed to be like almost like 2 centuries, 172 years before Game of Thrones, right? So how can the city look the same? That doesn't make sense to my logical brain.
People footing to understand where they were. And I just kept coming back to the Great Council because it was this really substantial event, significant event that had happened before our time, but really set in motion a lot of the things that we were going to see over the course of our story.
When I first read that in the script, I thought to myself, we will have been off air for so long that it's
Okay, sorry. Let's just take a look.
so long.
So, initial thoughts on the city on King's Landing is pretty good, right? So, I don't know whether they CGI in or what. But one thing I do want to mention, if they spend a lot of money building it, and this first season basically gets good reviews and good views, I'm pretty sure they can reuse the whole set, and that'll be a really, really good thing, right? Because like that's like basically economies of scale, and basically they save money on the set.
That it's actually an essential component of bringing people back into the world. And it felt like there was no one else that could tell that story.
The Lords chose Viserys, my father.
The thing the Great Council should tell you is that this is a patriarchy and that the men of the realm want to keep the men in power. I don't think Viserys was a guy who sought the crown or wanted it, really. It kind of came to him.
I think Viserys struggles with being the king. He's got big shoes to fill. Jaehaerys, the king that went before him, was a peacetime king. And I think Viserys feels a duty to honour his reign in a way and try to keep peace amongst the kingdoms.
So, just want to talk about like the cut on his finger, right? So, I don't know whether you guys can see it, but basically, I really like the attention to detail for this episode, right? Because the cut from his finger actually is from the story, right? And you can see that in the story, basically, the Iron Throne was this jagged, ugly, like throne, right? Not like in the original Game of Thrones. Basically the seat was a really nice, well done, pretty thing, right? But they did mention like in the book that this is how the Iron Throne is, and I'm really glad they are like following the law of the book, right? Because we can see that when season 7 and season 8 of Game of Thrones came and they didn't follow the book, it was a bit of a disappointment.
I knew that I needed to do a sequence in the first episode that gave a nod towards what was capable on this show. And a tournament was something that was exciting.
And it felt really important to bring Game of Thrones action to the pilot. And the reason we chose a tournament is because a tournament is essentially playing at war. And you get to tell the story of unrealized aggression that's let out in this very visceral way.
Queen Emma has begun her labors.
And it's Viserys putting the cart before the horse a bit, indulging in this grand thing to welcome what he's convinced is a new male heir. It was actually Miguel's idea to intercut the birth with the specific Kristen Cole fight, because as Emma tells Rhaenyra early in the story, the childbed is our battlefield.
We wanted to look at them in the same way that we would look at battle sequences. A battle sequence needs to be about something, otherwise it has no purpose. If you're going to put that kind of violence on screen, it needs to be for a reason. With the birthing, it was the same. We really wanted to see the female perspective because it's a realistic portrayal of things that used to happen at the hands of men to women, because 50-50 chance that you have surviving a birth in those times is not good odds.
It sometimes becomes necessary for the father to make an impossible choice.
So we were trying to show how dangerous childbirth was, but also to dramatize the terrible position that Viserys is put in, because it's made very clear to him that Emma is going to die either way. The only choice that you really have in the matter is whether you try to save the child. And he knows that it's his duty to put forward a male heir, especially if his wife is not going to make it, not be able to generate another heir for him. So that's what motivates him to make that decision with Grand Maester.
Viserys is in pieces, he's unable to even communicate, he's just distraught. Rhaenyra is finding herself unable to be the child, to be the one that's being looked after. Suddenly she's having to play the adult role.
So just first look at the dragon, so pretty nice. Yeah, I don't think there's like much difference from like the original Game of Thrones, so that's pretty good, right? But I do know that the other dragons have like other patterns and stuff, so quite glad that they became like very creative with all the dragon colors and stuff like that.
She's basically cremating, because the Targaryens cremate the dead, so she's cremating her mother and her brother. It's quite traumatic, actually.
She was asked, would you kind of do the honors of lighting the pyre with Syrax? It's a real final moment for her, being forced to say goodbye in that way.
And Daemon is being the most thoughtful, caring, responsive of the three, which was a choice that Matt made.
I think they are normal brothers, and there's a huge amount of love there, and I think it's complicated. You know, there's a sort of deep, dark history that surrounds them.
Daemon's a complicated guy, but he's not a monster. I mean, this is his family. He does love his family. He particularly loves Rhaenyra. And look, his brother is shattered, and I think he feels for them.
I do hereby name Rhaenyra Targaryen, Princess of Dragons.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to talk about the necklace, right? Holy shit, that attention to detail. Can you guys like take a look at like imagine if you were wearing this in real life? And also, I want to talk about
an heir to the Iron Throne.
Yeah, so just want to quickly talk about the heir part, right? So this is not some stay woke kind of thing, right? Because like some Netflix shows and some like other shows that are coming out are becoming like too woke, right? Like things that aren't supposed to be there are there, right? So sometimes I think it's like toxic inclusivity, if that's a real thing, right? Basically that they are like including characters that is like very out of place, even though like just because they want to like basically be inclusive in the name of inclusiveness, right? Because they are like scared they get cancelled, right? But in this case, this was inside the book, so this was like the original thing. They're just following the book, and this is what caused the divide within the realm in the first place, right? So I think that's why they like put this in, not because of like the stay woke thing, right?
It's a really important scene for the pilot because obviously it's the thing upon which all the future drama in the show is going to turn on, the fact that Rhaenyra was named heir and supplanted Daemon.
Viserys chooses Rhaenyra in part out of guilt for what he did to Emma, and in part out of love because he wants her to be happy to fulfill her own potential.
Rhaenyra sees it as the first time that she feels that she's good enough for her father. She's also the first woman ever to be named heir. Viserys was named heir over someone who should have deserved it, Princess Rhaenys. So she kind of feels like there's like a reprimand in that.
There's something else that I need to tell you.
Viserys is obsessed with the idea that they may be around the corner from the end of the world, and we felt like it was a really good way of adding this weight to the notion of Rhaenyra becoming queen. Instead of her wanting to do it out of ambition, she was being handed down responsibility.
Just this is Balerion the Dread, right? So just me, my Game of Thrones like fanboys taking over. But basically this like, look at this skull, like how huge it is, right? And apparently that's like the biggest dragon there was, and Aegon the Conqueror rode this dragon, right? So I do like want you guys to like, if you are a fan of the show and if you find it interesting, go read about the lore, right? Because there's a lot of things that you might not understand or that you might not comprehend because they obviously can't fit everything inside. But yeah, enough of me going on, right? Let's just finish the video.
To bring everybody together to fight the incoming White Walker problem that, in fact, we knew would not show up for another 170 years.
Aegon called his dream the Song of Ice and Fire. This secret has been passed from king to heir since Aegon's time.
This idea that Aegon, who believed in the Song of Ice and Fire and believed in this prophecy that would unite the realm against the cold and the dark coming out of the north and imbued his secret in the steel of the Valyrian dagger, we felt like that was a nice way to tie the two series together.
I don't think Rhaenyra has any idea what she's getting into.
Viserys is very protective of Rhaenyra, whereas at the same time can see the potential within her to be a great ruler, and he goes against the grain in naming her heir.
So hopefully by the end of the first hour, you understand that this precedent that has been loudly set across the realm has now been broken, and that might cause some problems.
So if you're enjoying the video so far, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button and press on all, right? So this will really help out the channel, and also watch till the end, right? Because obviously you don't want to miss any important information. Okay, so my initial thoughts, I think the set is pretty well done. Basically the characters are in place, everything is like as the book was, so I think that's a good thing. Second thing, something that they didn't show here, but because this is obviously YouTube, there's a lot of nudity in the show, right? And I don't know whether I'm being a greedy capitalist when I say this, but that's actually a good thing, because obviously it will attract a lot of men, right? So there's a lot of pretty blonde girls, princesses, stuff like that, right? So it will attract a lot of male audience, right? So obviously humans are innately wired to all this, right? So don't call me like a pervert or cancel me, whatever it is, right? But I do think like a lot of men will watch it because of stuff like that. Three, I do think like this has a lack of basically star power, right? Because I don't recognize like any of the actors. That's not to say that they are not doing a good job, but when you watch like original Game of Thrones, like I knew who the Mountain was before I watched Game of Thrones. I knew who the Tyrion Lannister, Peter Dinklage, I knew who he was, and basically I knew some characters, right? But in this, I don't see any familiar faces. But I do think they play the roles quite well up to the time that I can see. And the last is like there's a lot of like basically the actors and the actresses are very gorgeous, right? Basically, so expected in every show. But obviously, the bigger budget you have, like the more pretty or the more famous actors you can have, right? So next, I'm going to take a look at Google Trends, right? Basically, so we can see that for the past 7 days, basically, Google Trends are like 22nd of August, it peaked at 100. Basically, that's like the max interest over time, and then it's been teetering down, right? So let's take a look in the past 30 days. So in the past 30 days, so I find it's a bit weird, right? Why is it like Honduras, Cyprus? I'm pretty sure HBO is not that big in those countries, right? So Ireland, United Kingdom, Australia, that's a bit more normal. So interest over time has also been going up in the past 30 days. So what about past 7 days? Let's take a look at other like related things, right? So Daenerys Targaryen father. Okay, same thing. So House of the Dragon cast. Okay, about the same thing. So I find this a bit interesting, right? So like 1 day after the peak interest, there's still like a bounce of interest. So that's also quite interesting to me. So Addison Hightower family, maybe this is less interest. No, it's a lot of interest as well. So we can see that a lot of Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon search related terms are getting huge hits on Google, right? So some people might say, oh, but it's so fast that it comes down. But I'm pretty sure when the next episode comes out, the same thing will happen, right? Because people will be curious, like what's the background of this character and stuff like that, and they will also use it to search, right? So yeah, my expectation is, and something that I'm looking out for is the next week when the next episode comes out, do we have this same interest, right? Because if the interest drops, means that people don't think the second episode is as good, or they don't think the series is as good as I think it is like right now, right? Because I'm trying to be as objective as possible, but I still think I do have a bias, because obviously I own the stock, and I'm also a huge Game of Thrones fan, right? So I like what I see, but maybe people don't like, right? So I'm just like clouding my own judgment with all these biases, right? So yeah, if I see next week that the interest over time is not as good, then maybe it's like a little signal that it's not doing as well as I thought it was, right? So next thing I want to look at is actually SimilarWeb, right? So this is a browser extension that allows you to see how many visits a certain website has. So HBO has consistently in the past 6 months have about 200 something million monthly views on their visits on their websites, right? So the last month was July 2022, and the monthly visits were 265.23 million. So if we can see this at maybe 280 or 300 million during August, means that this House of the Dragon is really doing very well and bringing in like more visits to the website, which equals to probably more subscriptions for the website, right? So yeah, that's about all I wanted to share today. If you did enjoy the video, do help me smash up the like button, hit subscribe, and also hit the bell button. With that being said, have a fantastic day ahead, and peace out.